Welcome. So this video again is just a recap of your CS 111 materials. So the question this week is something similar to the Mark Analyzer code that we wrote in one of the videos. So this week we have to write a program using parallel arrays. So if you might recall, we use a parallel array to store data of a similar entity. So it says write a program to meet the following requirements. So it should allow the user to get the student's ID and their corresponding total marks in the course CS112 from my standard input, and then print out all the data on the screen after the data entering is done. So what we have to do is store the data in two separate parallel arrays, and one array should contain the IDs and the other one should contain the marks. So what we will do is create two arrays. One would be called IDs and the other one would be called marks. So in the IDs array, we are going to store the IDs of the students, and in the marks, we are going to store the marks of the student. So let's say we are going to create two arrays of size 5 each. So in this array, we will be able to store 5 IDs and 5 marks. So we have two arrays, and the capacity of the arrays are 5 each. So let's say we have this variable called capacity, which is initialized to 5. So capacity is the total number of elements the array can store, and we will have another variable called size, and the size will store the number of elements that are currently there in the array. So you can think of capacity as a size of a bucket. Let's say the capacity is 5 liters, and size is, let's say, how much water the bucket contains. So maybe this is 2 liters. So capacity is the total amount that the array can store, and size is the number of elements that are currently in the array. And initially the size of the array is 0. So as new elements are added to the array, we are going to increment the value of size, and the capacity remains 5. And we have the array indexes from 0 all the way up till 4. So the indexes will go from 0 up till size minus 1. So since the size is 5, the index would be 4. Now what we will store in the array is, let's say in the first one, so when the user enters the ID of a student, we'll store the ID at index 0. And you will also notice that the value of size is also 0. So what we can do is create a while loop or a do while loop, and inside that while loop we are going to have some code. So what the code will do is get the input from the user, right, seeing the value of mark and ID for a particular student, and then we have to store those IDs and marks in this array at location 0. So what we can do is store the value at the index size. So I'll go to my array at index size, which is 0, and then store the ID over there. So let's say the user entered the ID as S12, and then for that same student, we are going to store the mark in the other array at the same index, which is 0. So let's say the mark was 90, so we'll store the mark over there. Now what happened to the value of size? It has incremented by 1. So the size now becomes 1. So when the next ID and mark is entered, where do you think that will be stored? At index 1, right? And the value of size is also 1. So we'll again store the value of the ID and mark at index 1, which is the value of size as well. So let's say the user enters S13, so we'll store that at index 1, and the mark for that particular student will be stored at index 1 in the marks array. So let's say the mark was 85. So we can continue doing this. Let's say S15, the mark was 30, then S23, the mark was 65, and S2 3 the mark was 25, let's say, and each time the value of size will increment. So at the end the value of size will become 5 because there are now 5 elements in the array. Now of course we cannot continue doing this. There is a limit, and in here the limit is the size of the array. Now since the capacity is 5, we cannot enter any more marks than 5. So once the array gets full, we will have to stop asking for the input and exit the code, or maybe print the data. So what do you think the condition should be in the while loop? So we can say we can continue asking the user for input while the size is not equal to capacity, right? So while I'll write it over here, while size is not equal to capacity. So what will happen is, as soon as the value of size matches capacity, that means as soon as size becomes 5, then we will have to exit because the array will be full. So let's open our Visual Studio. I'll create a new project. Once again, search for C++ and then click on empty project. Make sure it says start from scratch with C++ for Windows. Then click on next. I'll call this exercise 1, and I'll store it in my lab2 folder. You can click on this and select a location to save. I'll save it in my lab2 folder. Click on create. Then click on source files, right click, go to add and click on new item, C++ file, and I'll give the name as main. Click add, and then in here we can start writing our code. Right, so the first step would be to create the capacity variable. I'll declare that as a constant because that is not going to change. I'll call this capacity, right? And let's set it to 5. And then we'll have another variable called size, and this is going to keep track of the number of elements that are there currently in the array. Then we will have the IDs array. So since the IDs can be in alphanumeric values, I'll declare that as a string variable IDs, and the size would be equal to capacity, right? The size of the array is 5. And then marks, so you can declare that as a float or double, and I'll call this marks, and once again the size would be capacity. Then we will have our while loop, and the condition of the while loop was while size is not equal to capacity, right? While size is not equal to capacity, we will continue to ask the user for the marks and the ID. Now in here I can ask the user to enter the ID and mark. We can say enter the ID and mark separated by space. So first the user will enter the ID, space, and then the mark. And then I have to declare some temporary variable to take the input or accept the input. So I'll say ID, and the other one would be for marks, so I'll call it M, right? Make sure that these names are different. You will notice that this is ID and this is ID, so they are different. Don't write IDs or ID for both the names, otherwise we will get errors. And then I will read the ID, and then I will read the mark. So once I have the ID and the mark, I will go to the array, right, the IDs array, and which value are we going to assign? That is the ID that we have taken from the user. Then likewise in the marks array at index size, we are going to store the mark. So once we have stored the ID and the mark in the array, the size of the array has now become 1. So in each of those arrays, we have one value. So we can increment the size to indicate that there is one element in each of those two arrays. So once we have taken the input from the user, we can go ahead and print the values of ID and mark from the array. So I'll start the for loop from 0, go all the way up till size I++, and in each iteration I can see out the value of ID and the mark. So I'll print the value of ID at index I. We can print I space and then the mark. Put a end line. Now I'll run this code and see if our code works. So it says enter the ID and mark separated by space. So I'll enter S11 and the mark is 90, S12 98, then S13 67, S14 maybe 78, S15 let's say 76. Enter. So okay, so the while loop exits and then we get this printout from the for loop. Now this program is working fine, but there is an issue with this. So what if the user wants to enter only let's say 3 or 4 marks and then exit? In our case, the capacity of the array is 5. So the while loop will continue until the array becomes full. So in that case, if the user wants to exit or terminate earlier than that, then he or she will not be able to. So we need to change our code to cater for that. So what we can do is have one more variable. Let's call it, let's say, input, maybe char input. And what we'll do here is we will ask the user to enter y or n if he or she wants to continue or exit. So after taking the input, at the end we can print a message saying do you wish to continue, and we can give a option maybe between y or n. So if the user enters y, then we will ask for another input. If the user enters n, then we will exit, and then we can read the value of input. Then in the condition we will have to take care of this as well. So we will say while size is not equal to capacity or input is equal to y. So as long as the user enters y, we are going to continue asking for the marks. So you can either write the condition over here, right, along in the while loop, or we can also use a break statement at the end here, right? So we can say if the input is equal to n, then we will break out of the while loop, right? So you can use either of the methods, right? So I'll go with this for now. So I'll run this code once again. It says enter the ID and mark separated by space. So I'll enter S11 once again, 90. So it says do you wish to continue? I'll enter y. So again enter another mark. So let's say S12 and 98. Again, do you wish to continue? So if I enter n, so it is going to terminate and print whatever is there in the array. So again, I see another problem with this, and that is if let's say we are to enter let's say 100 marks in the array, then after entering each of these marks, we are asked to enter either y or n. So at some point this is going to become annoying because we want to continue entering the marks and not distracted by this message. So can you think of a better way to write the same thing? Right, so try to pause the video and think of a better solution. Okay, so what I have thought of is I'll remove this part, right? I'll remove all of this and also get rid of this char input variable. And what I can do is make use of whatever we are taking from the user and play with that. So I can ask the user to enter -1 if they want to exit. So in the message I can say enter the ID and mark separated by space, or -1 to exit. So the user will know that they have to enter the mark, and if they want to exit, then they will enter -1. But if the user enters -1, then that -1 will be captured using the cin, right? It will be captured in the first one, which is this ID. Now, since the -1 will be captured over here in this ID, I can write a condition over here, right? I can say if the ID is equal to -1, then I don't have to enter or read the mark and store in the arrays. I can just terminate, right? So this time our code looks a little smaller because we don't have that prompt for do you wish to continue and then take the input and also one extra variable. So what happens over here, this message will be displayed to the user, right? Then we will read the ID. If the ID is a valid ID, let's say S12, then this will not happen. We will read the mark and then store in the array and increment the value of size. And let's say if the user enters -1, then that -1 will be stored in this ID variable. And if the ID happens to be -1, then we will just simply break out of this loop and this part will not execute. So let's try it. Okay, enter the ID and mark S12 90, S13 89 or 98. And now if I enter -1, right, the code exits and we get these two ID and marks. The third part says determine the grade for each student using the following table. Make a function called determine grade of type char that takes the input as marks, and that will determine the student's grades. Right, so I'll create a function. The type is char, and that is called determine grade. And in here, since we have declared our marks to be as floats, we'll pass it as float and we'll call it, let's say, mark. Now, how do we check for the marks? So we can say if the mark is greater than equal to 80 and less than equal to 100, then the grade is A. So if the mark is greater than equal to 80 and mark is less than equal to 100, then we will return A, right, because the grade is A. Then else if the mark is between 65 and 79, so if the mark is between 65 and 79, then the grade is B. If the mark is between 50 and 64, 50 and 64, then the grade would be C. And we can write between 0 and 49. Zero and 49, then in that case the grade would be D. So that is our determine grade function. So the function will take a mark as the input, and then it will check if the mark is between 80 and 100, then it is going to return A as the grade. Else if the mark is between 65 and 79, then the mark would be B, and likewise for the others. Now you can write else here if you want, otherwise you can leave it out, because as soon as a condition is met, the function is going to return and the other conditions will not be checked. Then the other part is write a function to print the student records, to print the students' IDs and their corresponding marks and the grades. So another function called print student records, and this will be of type void because we are not returning anything, we are just printing. And then for us to be able to print the ID and the marks and the grades, we will need to pass to the function the ID and the marks array. So I'll pass the IDs array that is of type string. We will also need the marks array, and whenever we pass an array to a function, we also need to pass the size of the array. So in this case, the size of the array is size. Then inside our for loop, we can go from 0 all the way up till whatever the value of size is, and then in each iteration we are going to print the value of the ID and the mark. So whatever we are doing over here, I'll move this to that function. So right now we are only printing the ID and the mark. We also need to print the grade. So along with this, we have to print the grade. So to print the grade, we need to call this determine grade function to get the student's grade. So you can write it over here along with the cout, or maybe make another separate variable, let's say g, to determine the grade. I'll call the determine grade function, right, and pass the student's mark to get the grade. So to get the grade, I will have to pass the mark of the current student, right? So when I pass the mark, I will get the grade. So after we get the grade, we can print the grade over here. Okay, so I'll run this code and see if it works. S12, let's say the mark is 90. S13 mark is 66. Enter. So let's just enter 2 and exit. So I'll enter -1 to exit. So nothing happens. That is because we haven't called the function. So we need to call the function. So once we have taken the input, we have to call the function over here called print student records. And over here we have to pass the IDs, marks, and the size. So I'll run the code again. S12 mark is 90. S13 mark is 66. -1 to exit. It says S12, the mark is 90 and the grade is A. Then for the second one, the mark is 66 and the grade is B. So let's verify this with the question. So if the grade is 90, then if the mark is 90, then the grade should be A. So the mark is 90, that falls in this one, so the grade is A. And for the other one, the mark was 65, 66 that is, and it falls between 65 and 79, and the grade is B. Okay, so the code is working. And then if you want, you can print some header over here, maybe cout ID, mark, and grade, just to make it more readable. And this should work. So that was all for exercise 1. So in here, what we are doing is creating 2 parallel arrays called ID and mark, and then we are writing a loop to capture the ID and the mark of the student. And then once we have all those details, we call this print student records function to print the details of the student. So we print the ID, the mark, and then the grade. And to get the grade, we are calling this determine grade function, right, which is going to call this function, pass the mark, and then determine where that mark falls, and then return that particular grade. So that was for exercise 1. Then for second part, we have to download this file called students.txt from Moodle under the week 3 section. and that file has the student's ID and the total marks for CS112 course. And then what we have to do is update our program to allow the user to get the student's ID and their marks from that file. And then we have to print out all the data in the screen. So this is our file, and this is the content of the file. So I'm going to save the content into my PC in the same location where you have saved your code. So my main CPP file is inside my exercise1 folder, right? So wherever your main.cpp is, at the same location, you are going to create a new file, a new text file. I'll call this students, and inside this file I am going to save. Now over here, since we are reading the data from the file, I'll comment out this part of the code that is taking the input from the user, and I have to update the code so that the code is able to take the input from the file. So to read the file, I will need the fstream header file. So I will include that header as well, right? And then I will declare the ifstream variable. I'll call this infile, and then we can say infile.open, and I'll pass the name of my file, which is students.txt. And then to make sure that the file is open, we can say if infile dot is open, then we can read the file. Else we will say could not open file. Right, and if we are not able to open the file, then we can just simply end the program by saying return 0. And if the file opens, then we can say maybe all good for now. So I'll run this code to make sure that we are able to open the file. So it says all good. So now we can read the file. Now in the file, you will notice that we have a line for the header as well. So we don't need the first line, we need the lines from line 2 all the way up till line number 8. So I will need to discard this first line. And if you recall, then to discard that line, we will have to use the getLine function. So we can say getLine, and from the infile, I will read that first line and maybe store it in some temp variable. Now in here, since we have to read and store the ID and mark in some variable, I'll declare a ID variable to store the ID, and then another float variable to store the mark. You can say m or mark, and we also need to declare this temp variable to store the first line, which is of type string as well. So after we have read the first line, we can write a while loop to read the entire content of the file. So we can say while we get the value of ID and mark from the file. So what we will do is we will store the ID and mark in the ID array. So we'll store the ID in the ID array, right, at index size. And likewise for the marks, we will store the marks at index size and increment the value of size. So let's run this to see if it works. Okay, so there was some error, and at the bottom it says that getLine was not found. So I will need to include the string header file. So hash include string. Right, so I'll run this once again. And again, there were some errors. It says access violation writing location. So what happened over here is in the file we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ID and marks, and the size of our array is only 5. So there's not enough space in the array. So I'll change this to 10. Right, so stop the execution and then click on run once again. Right, so this time it runs and we get all the ID and marks along with the grade. Right, so if you want to make your header a bit neat, we can go and edit the print function. So over here we can put some tab. Right, so just to make it match with the grade, ID and mark. Right, so once again we have two arrays, ID and mark, and then in here we are opening a file called students.txt, and then we are checking if the file is open. Then we go inside this condition and do this part. Now in here we are declaring some variables. The ID variable is to store the ID from the file. This float m is to store the mark from the file. So ID and mark, and then we have this temp variable, and that is just to store the first line of the file, which we don't need. So we just read and discard. And then once we read the first line, the file CASA will come over here, right? So when we open the file, the CASA, which is this blinking part, that is at the beginning of the line. And then when we call this line, get line, that first line is read into this temp variable. So once we read the first line, the CASA comes at the beginning of the second line. And then we go to the while loop and start reading the ID and mark. So as long as we get the value of ID and mark from the file, we keep on doing this part. So we go to the index size, which is initially 0, and at index 0 we store the ID that we have read from the file and store in the IDs array. And then we do the same thing for the marks array, and then we increment the value of size, because now the size of the array is 1. And then we go back, we again read another ID and mark and continue doing this until we have read all the values from the file. So that was all for this video. Thank you for watching.